Hey everybody, welcome back to Brick System Brothers. This is another Akro-Mils 24 drawer unit bin, like the ones on the wall behind me. I finally caved and picked up another one because it is time to sort out my roof slope pieces, and I think this is the method I'm going to use to do it. I mentioned this very briefly in a footnotes, or I think it was the picking a Lego set video. I just have this cardboard box of slopes right now, and I want to get them sorted out. There is a little bit of some slopes sorted into a bin, but that was overflow a long time ago, and slopes are a pretty common element. So it is definitely time, it's past time to get these sorted out, and I wanted to do a video about my approach to that, starting with a fresh, empty Akro-Mils bin, which is my favorite for storing. They've got these nice, clear, transparent drawers. The drawers come out all the way so that you can carry them around, and it's very easy to swap stuff around. So what I haven't talked about much before is starting from scratch with one of these, because I have rearranged certain bins on here before. I've actually filled quite a few since I last talked about this in my tour back at the beginning of the year. But this is kind of a different approach where we're actually starting from the ground up. Yes, I do have some sorted, but this gives me the opportunity to explore new layouts and kind of a new structure for sorting these slopes. And I also like to group the piece types. So this one is plates, and tiles are up along the edge of the other one. There's some Technic here in this one, and that's kind of a theme I'm going to continue with this bin, sorting these slopes in. So the first thing to do is take stock of the current situation. That's just looking at what I just mentioned with the slopes that are sorted and unsorted. Alright, sorted, somewhat organized. It does have general groupings of size and the angle of the slope, and most of this bin is our standard 45 degree, or at least close to 45 degree if not exact. 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 8s. There's this interesting 2x6 that's kind of a partial slope. And then I also do have some of the steeper ones in here. I don't remember these degrees off the top of my head, but these are 2 bricks high, 3 bricks high, the 1s, the 2s, 1s, 2s. And then down in the 2 little trays are some of the oddballs that just start to accumulate when you do buy multiple parts lots. And at this point, now that I have been buying parts lots and slopes from Bricks and Minifigs, from hobby stores, if you just have 1 or 2 of these, that doesn't necessarily justify having an individual drawer set apart for them. But I'm at the point where, yeah, I only have 3 or 4 sorted here, but the rest of them are just mixed into other batches and bins, something I haven't necessarily sorted out yet. I know that I have enough of these to at least halfway fill an Akro-Mils drawer. So moving from this into the drawers will be somewhat straightforward. Pieces like the 1s and 2s, 1x2 and 2x2, I actually have too many to fit in a single drawer. I might start doing some color breakdown. I might just do enough to fill a drawer and then have a bag of overflow like I've done with some plates. But most of these should be able to fit in their own Akro-Mils drawer. Okay, the main culprit that's really been weighing on me physically and visually for a while is this box. And at first, this box was just a few slopes at the bottom. I actually had stuff individually bagged that was overflow from this bin, and then at a certain point there were just too many slopes. It got out of control, and I just dumped them in the box. I thought, hey, this box will never fill up with slopes. I'm good for a while. Well, what do you know? Here is a box full of different kinds of slopes, and these are just the regular slopes. Like, these aren't even curved. In fact, I think this is 90% upper, and then there's also a couple of these inverted. Inverted will probably get their own drawers in these as well. That's a nice thing about going on these grids, is you can go size in one direction, and then you can have kind of the companion part. So the inverted 2x3 slope right here, and then its upward companion in the drawer right next to it. But then you also move up and down based on size. So maybe here is the 2x2, and then you could go shallower or steeper depending on that direction there. Very open. That's just me. I like the organization aspect. But this box needs attention. It needs a solution. And one of these might not cut it, but I do have a backup if I need to make two. And like I said, it's not necessarily a goal to have every single one of these pieces here and here be sorted into a drawer. I know that's not going to happen, just looking at this box and the volume here. What I want to have is an organized system where I can access a select, part of my collection, if not all of these that I have in my collection, a majority of them, for kind of these obscure pieces, and if not all of these 2x4 slopes I have in my collection, enough to fill one or two of these drawers, just so that it's accessible, like the stuff on the wall, and not buried in a box with 20 other kinds of slopes. Alright, just to show how far out of hand the problem currently is, I'm also showing you guys an additional bin that I don't dive into too often, and this is actually the overflow, slopes overflow from this box. So not only have I filled up an overflow of sorted slopes, I've filled up multiple sections of sorted slopes from an unsorted box. Just as I encounter them, sometimes I buy, goodness, I don't even remember why these are in here. I think at one point I maybe even downsized one of these compartments, went all the way across with a certain type. I said, no, I want to break this up, but there's too many slopes. I need to downsize this, overflow directly into here with a certain type of slope. So yeah, what else is in here that needs to go with the slopes? 2x2, regular. These are all 2x2 with the corner cut out for making valleys. And the black ones in here would be used up in Patriot Hill, except for the fact that I bought them after I built Patriot Hill from Bricks and Pieces. So there's a couple in here from that. The 3x4 shallow, I think these are 33 degrees. And then I had a baggie started, but now it's overflowing, of 2x3, 33 degree slope. Inverted 2x2, not quite so many in there. And what else is in here? The rest of this is actually some brick, 1x bricks overflow, and then this is actually random stuff. Alright, we'll keep this on hand close by as I work on these. I found just a few more random piles. These are pretty recently added from Omaha Bricks and Minifigs at the end of May, and somewhere else, something from this year at least, so that's pretty new. And then the 1x3 are in their own bag as well. Alright, so what's wrong with having this system with the bags? Nothing necessarily, actually. I'm not opposed to doing the storage bag system. However, I found for myself that these tend to migrate, which is actually what has just gone on right now. I went to look for more pieces to bring in to this sorting process, and these are in a totally different area of my overflow stock than the rest of the slopes. So if I'm looking for this specific type of piece, and say like I need white ones in quantity, those aren't necessarily readily available here. Those aren't in this bin at all, actually. And alright, well, that's fine. I know where my overflow box is, except for the fact these aren't sorted. Okay, well, that's fine. I know where my red overflow box is with the bagged unsorted slopes. Well, unfortunately, these are not actually in the red overflow box. Where are they? There's another 20-something bins to go through looking for them. So, the bag collection method can work if you keep everything consolidated, but when I have this stuff in bags and I'm shuffling things around all the time, sometimes there's not enough room for this where I want to put it, and it gets placed in a different area, and then that gets shuffled and the process goes on. So for me, it works, but it doesn't work. And at this point, I have the ability to pick up more of these, and I have space on the wall to place them, or if not on the wall, somewhere else. You know, the space that this stuff is taking up could be replaced by the storage unit. So I'm going to go that direction, and this is actually the largest category that I have attempted to sort into this system to this point. So yeah, like I said, I know there's going to be overflow. I just want to see how it's going to go. One final note before I do begin the sort is keeping in mind, hey, I still have a huge unsorted category from the bulk lot, the job lot that we've been working our way through. And I have to keep in mind that even though I may have one or two pieces in here of a certain type of slope, I just come across these, I set them to the side. Hey, one or two doesn't necessarily justify having their own drawer. Well, that might be what I have in this section of the slopes, but I'm not entirely sure what I have in the slopes from the job lot. I haven't sorted through these yet. So I need to keep in mind that even though I might not have quantity of those specific types in this part of the collection that I'm more familiar with, I should probably start a drawer for that type anyways, because looking forward into the sorting process for slopes, I have this job lot coming up, I have other eBay hauls that over multiple years these categories will build up. So at this point it is worth it just to add in a few pieces, even if it's just taking up the bottom layer of one of these drawers. In terms of moving forward and making this a long-term storage solution, it needs to accommodate for those types of pieces that will build up over time, not just what I have in bulk right now. Alright, I managed to fill it up with just slopes, and there's still plenty to be sorted out. I want to talk a little bit about what I chose to put in here and the way I chose to arrange it, and then I'll try to figure out where I'm going to put this. I do have some additional room moving to the left after that support post right there, so I'll probably fill in one more group of two stacked on that side. Probably will be these slopes. But regular positive slopes, what do I mean by that? Regular as in they're not a compound angle and they're not curved. So, kind of your standard straight down, no fancy things going on there. And then positive is going to be the studs on top of the direction of the slope. So there are regular negative slopes like this one, and like these are regular negative slopes, but this is all positive with the studs on top, and just focusing on that side of the family. And it's going to take another bin at least to get a lot of the negative slopes, and then maybe looking at adding in some of these compound outside corners, inside corners, the finishing ridges and details like that. So what's actually in the bin? I started with the cheese on the left, 1s and 2s, and that kind of set the trend as far as working left to right is going to be increasing the width, and then working down is going to be increasing, at first it increases the length, and so it goes from the 1x2 to the 1x3 to the 1x4, and then you run out of lengths because it doesn't go higher than that until you get to the 6x8, which I'm not sorting into this group. So I went up. You go 2 bricks high to the 1x2x2, 1x2x3. And then within each of these, as you move right, you get wider. So on the top again, we have the 2x2, 3, and 4. And then instead of trying to work my way down with these, I went up and put the 6 and 8 next to the cheese slope row. And then on your 3, that goes to the 2, 3, and whoops, 4 is right there. That's a different row. For the 3 wide bin, since I have so few of these 3x3 slopes, I put a divider in and added in a version of the 3x4 that has the wheel arches cut out. So that's what I'm going to put in there for now. We'll see if that is similar enough to leave in this position, or I might have to change it out if I don't like where that's at. When we get back down to our low angle 1x4 and 2x4 slopes, we run out again of sizes to go up after that. So to fill these gaps, I'm putting in some of the outside convex. So I guess I broke my rule here. This is a regular compound slope, still positive though. And then on this side are those taller ones. And I also threw in really interesting angle, specific angle that gives you 5 studs to build on. I should talk about that piece in a huge tap, maybe someday later. When we get to the bottom, we've got the 1x2x2, 2x2x2, and then we have another divider bin here. This is a 2x2x2 without the tube support in the middle. And I can understand why you'd want to do this for transparent, because maybe you're making some kind of container or hopper. But I never understood why they had these in the solid colors. And they're somewhat common too. So need to do more research about why they went with this piece in so many builds. And then on the other side are some peak elements. Now as far as I know, this doesn't have a convex corner like this piece is. So you can't really build 4-sided roof slopes at this angle that peak would go on the top of. But we still have the peak element for some reason. And then we'll get to that in a sec. On the bottom are the 1x2x3, 2x2x3, and then the convex 2x2x3 outside corner. On the far right, I have 2 different kinds of printed slopes. The first one are these older striped kind of triangular prints on here. And the reason I have these separate is because I have enough at this point that I don't want them cluttering up the rest of the printed slopes that are more of a variety. So if I know I have these in a different spot, the few times that I'll probably have to use them or be looking for them, I won't have to worry about them being in the way of the other printed slopes, which I will probably be using much more often. Looking at mostly like the computers in here, some random cars, faces. I'm even putting in the stickers, some sticker decorations on these. And I'll probably do that until it gets too full and then put the stickers in a different spot. So a nice range of old and new printed slopes in this bin. And I'm going to try to make this my go-to printed slopes corner. And that's something I've been wanting to do with other drawers as well, but haven't found a natural place to put it in. With printed and decorated tiles, at the moment those are in a little flip top container instead of on, even though most of my tiles are up here on the wall. Also printed bricks, there's a huge variety of those. You get into printed curved slopes, we might have to look at doing a whole different storage system for those. But printed regular slopes going in here for now until that's filled up, and I'm guessing it won't take long, but that's a start. A lot of these bins already full to capacity, and that's fine. I'll be redoing my overflow for the slopes, and there is a lot of overflow for the slopes, but I'm glad that I'm going to have a handy, accessible section for just slopes so I know exactly where stuff is at, instead of trying to go and rummage through unsorted or have this other bin with the lid. Sometimes that gets stuck underneath in my storage, and it's just a pain to get out. Sometimes to pick out a certain slope, it's so much easier to just go to the stack drawer and slide that out when I'm looking for pieces. Most of the time when I'm building, I don't need 50 red 2x4 slopes. I just need 3 or 4. So that's kind of the idea here, to have an accessible group of these slopes on my sorted wall where everything else is, which keeps building pretty central right here in the middle of the room, and keeps my rambling to a minimum over there if I can help it. So alright, well that is getting my slopes under control here at Brick System Brothers. Thanks for watching along today, guys. We'll keep you posted when I get this up on the wall, and it might be time to take another look soon at the sorted collection. Like I mentioned, I have added filled quite a few of those empty spots, especially over here. These were the newest units added in, and for a while it was just the bottom row, so I've filled in a lot there. I've put some fences up right here too, and rearranged a few bins. So that's worth talking about again at some point. But we'll see you there. Thanks for watching.